So hey, it's Harry Husky, or as you may better know me on this channel as Harry Film Stuff. Now, conventions are starting to become a thing again in the UK, and as of recording this, I'm actually travelling to one right now, as of this video goes out. I'm currently in the process of packing for ScotiaCon, which this time around is happening in Glasgow. So 2019, which was the last ScotiaCon, as well as the last pre-COVID furry convention. Which, funnily enough, actually, because the last night of ScotiaCon, we were all having a good time, and on the 17th of November, which at the time, at night when the Dead Dog Karaoke was happening, the very first case of COVID-19 was discovered, and we had absolutely no idea of the absolutely horrendous events that would unfold there. So, this pandemic is going to be up there with stuff like World War II, the plague, the influenza pandemic in 1918, and a whole ton of list of so many historical events that I'd be here naming them all. But conventions give us an opportunity to escape from the terrible big bad world that we are living in, not just because of the pandemic, because of other stuff that's been happening in recent times. And even though I will admit, I'm actually really freaking nervous about ScotiaCon, and that's not just because it's been my first post-COVID convention, but because of how different Scotland have been handling the COVID situation compared to England have. Because I know, for example, as of Boxing Day, all hospitality had to be limited. I know that indoor events were limited to about 150 people, and outdoor events were limited to 300 people. And the event that was really hit hard by this was the Iron Brew Carnival, which is basically an indoor fun fair. And that event has previously had showmen come down from all over the country. This time around, it had some showmen come down from the southwest. So about a 7-hour journey, especially since they're using heavy goods vehicles to travel these rides about, which are using a lot more fuel than, well, cars obviously. But they came all that way, and they only ever opened up for 3 days and then ended up going back home. And I really feel for them, and all other sectors of the hospitality industry during this difficult time. And considering how much it badly affected the hospitality industry, there has been also failure to protect them and financially help them recover from this crisis. But I'm not willing to comment any further on that, and I better not for the sake of things. But Scotland's current COVID situation is different, because over here in England, mask rules are pretty much non-existent. I know recently they were relaxed following the Omicron variant, because they were brought back briefly in stuff like shops, public transport, and certain other places, but they were excluded from stuff like hospitality. But in Scotland, face coverings and masks are still mandatory in all public indoor places, which it has proved some difficulty, because I have been to events where masks and physical distancing were a thing, and it was just very nerve-wracking, very stressful, and felt like I was walking on thin ice the whole time. So I don't know how ScotiaCon 2022 is going to go down for me, because I know that, as far as I'm aware, there is no form of physical distancing enforced as per the Scottish Government guidelines, because social distancing measures are pretty much non-existent in Scotland as far as I'm aware of, but face covering rules are still in place, which have proved problems because I know that over in America, all cons so far that have happened, mask rules have been in place. And the problem I'm hearing about that with is people do have difficulties reading facial expressions, because they can't tell if they're happy, they're sad, or they're frustrated, or they're annoyed. So to help with that, I've actually got some window masks which have been used by NHS Scotland staff. They've been used by NHS care staff here in England. They've been approved by the CDC, the FDA. They are 2-ply as well, which is the recommended mask that some people wear at this con, as well as really the recommend is stuff like surgical masks like KN95 and N95. But these masks that I do have, I have been very careful, and they have been the same type which have been approved by NHS Scotland and NHS England, as well as the CDC and the FDA. But the thing is, now that we have conventions to be a thing in the UK, all I want to ask is this, that we've all been in a bad situation in the world, and what I want to ask is that we all be kind to one another, we all look out for each other, we always show love, never show hate, and lend a helping hand to those who really need it. Because as Peter Capaldi said before his regeneration in Doctor Who, hate is always foolish, love is always wise, always be kind, never fail to be kind, as I remember him saying. It's been a while since I watched that, so I don't exactly remember off the top of my head, but I say this because at a virtual convention that happened in 2021, I will admit there was one experience that did leave me shaken by a couple of people who didn't tell me that they had a problem with me after a convention in 2019. They proceeded to make fun of me behind my back, and they even proceeded to outright bully me in the Discord server that this was happening in. And they even just went completely off on me over I tried to explain something. I tried to give them the full picture, and they just kept constantly interrupting me and just kept going off on me. And nobody said anything, because I was hoping that somebody was going to be like, hang on, you can't just be like treating people this way. You can't be yelling at people this way. But no one stepped in and said anything. They just pretty much sit there and just listen to the whole thing. And the other thing I do want to ask, as well as being kind, looking out for one another, is if you do have a problem with someone, tell them to their face that you have a problem with them and what the problem is you have with them. You tell the person, because if you don't tell the person, because if you proceed to not telling the person that you have a problem with them, but proceed to be telling everybody else that you have a problem with that said person, it doesn't make you a good person, it makes you an asshole. Because there are times where I have seen other people, not just myself, who have been bullied behind their back, who have been made fun of behind their back, instead of having them tell them what the problem is, if you know what I mean. And really, if you are not willing to tell the person you have a problem with them, you should not be telling that to anyone else, because all things spiral and will just absolutely go downhill from there. Because I'm only saying this because it's happened to me, and it's really hit me hard based on the treatment and handling that I've had from not a lot of people, thankfully, but a select few people. But I kind of don't want to say and reveal too much, because I don't want to give them any satisfaction of bringing me down than they did at the time. So as of technically tomorrow, the day this video does go out, will be ScotiaCon, and if you are at ScotiaCon, I do hope to see you there. And all I will say is definitely look out for each other, let's take care of each other, let's always show love, and let's always reach out our hands or our paws or whatever you want to call them, reach out to those who desperately need our help and anything that we can offer for them. Please, we all need a lot of love, and we need to share a lot of love in the person and not just behind the computer screen, after how horrendous pretty much the past 2 years have been. So with that particular stuff just being said, basically just want to keep this brief, and I've said everything I can about this. So thank you so much for watching. Look after yourself, look after each other, and take care of each other. Goodbye for now. And until the ScotiaCon videos do go out, goodbye for now and good health.